Isn't it weird when you're watching a sequel and one of the characters has been replaced with a different actor? It's like you know who they're meant to be, but they're just not themselves anymore. It gets all paradoxical and weird. This is even more apparent when it happens in massive Hollywood blockbusters, especially when it's something like Harry Potter. There's about 42 different Harry Potter movies, so a lot of investment has gone into the people playing the roles. That's why when it changes, it can be a bit upsetting. I'm Simon from Whatculture, and this is 12 Harry Potter actors who were replaced in the sequels. Number 12, Verne Troyer as Griphook. Why a British-heavy movie ignored Warwick Davis at first is anyone's guess, but yes, after Verne Troyer appeared in The Philosopher's Stone as a small goblin called Griphook, he was mysteriously replaced by the time we arrived at the Deathly Hallows. There's no doubting it was the right choice. Verne Troyer, well, he can be a little, we'll go with unpredictable. With Warwick, you know you're getting straight up professionalism. So when it was time for the character to take on a bigger role, totally made sense. Number 11, Jennifer Smith as Lavender Brown. When Jessie Cave took over the role of Lavender Brown, there was one big hole of controversy. Why? Well, the original actress, Jennifer Smith, who appeared in The Prisoner of Azkaban as a background character, was black. Her replacement Cave was white. Now, that's obviously going to get people up in arms a bit, especially when the role becomes far more prominent in The Half-Blood Prince. Producers claimed that Cave just had more experience as an actress, so was more suited to the expanded character, but it's still a bit off, or at least not very tactile on behalf of everyone involved. Number 10, Peter Cartwright as Alphaeus Doge. When Peter Cartwright appeared in The Order of the Phoenix as Alphaeus Doge, he had no lines. That's pretty upsetting if you're an actor. But at least he was involved in one of the biggest franchises in movie history. When The Deathly Hallows Part 1 was released though, and Doge actually had things to do, Cartwright was gone and David Ryle was in. Both were very well established British actors, so why the change was made is anyone's guess. All seems very pleasant though, so at least that's something. Number 9, Emily Dale as Katie Belle. Emily Dale, who had appeared in the first 2 Harry Potter films as Katie Belle, was moved to one side in The Half-Blood Prince because producers were more keen on Georgina Leondinis. She was the more experienced of the two, so bringing her in was a way to give the role more weight and hopefully a better performance. It must hurt though, you're so close to living your dream, and it's stolen away from you. Like Harry's wand. Number 8, Derek Deadman as Tom the Innkeeper. The problem with having 45,908 sequels is that if you decide to change one of the characters, you may need to have a rethink when it comes to casting. That seems to be the case when we're talking about Derek Deadman and his portrayal of Tom the Innkeeper. A much more somber figure in the first movie, Deadman was replaced by Jim Tarver in The Prisoner of Azkaban, who then completely changed nearly everything about good old Tom. Not only did he have a shorn head and a humped back, but he was clearly there for comedic relief. Number 7, Elizabeth Spriggs as the Fat Lady. I always love it when a role has a specific physical trait in the description. We need a fat person. Alrighty then. In the world of Harry Potter, the Fat Lady is a portrait in the entrance to the Gryffindor common room who makes her first appearance in The Philosopher's Stone. Here, she's played by Elizabeth Briggs, a classically trained actress. 3 years later, she'd been replaced. Given that Dawn French took over, it's understandable to a point, especially as the idea was to make the character more humorous. That's just Dawn's shtick. Number 6, Scot Fern as Marcus Flint. Scot Fern is like a thorn in Harry Potter's side. Starting off as Marcus Flint in The Philosopher's Stone, he got booted out and replaced for the Chamber of Secrets when Jamie Yeats took over. And when I say booted, I don't mean booted at all, because Fern would return as Adrian Pusey, so a completely different person, and we're just supposed to sit there and pretend that's alright. Number 5, Nina Young as Halina Ravenclaw. In the first Harry Potter film, Hogwarts resident ghost the Grey Lady, or Halina Ravenclaw, is just hanging around for a few moments. She doesn't do much, you don't really even have to care, but she was played by Nina Young. When we got to the final chapter though, this role was actually quite significant, so Nina wasn't asked back and actress Kelly MacDonald was brought in instead. That still has to feel a bit like a diss, especially given that Young was still a qualified performer and had appearances in Tomorrow Never Dies and Sliding Doors to her name. Number 4, Genevieve Gaunt as Pansy Parkinson. Ever wanted to know the inspiration for Hogwarts villain Pansy Parkinson? She was based on the girls J.K. Rowling hated at her own school who had bullied her. For some reason, however, the character was played by 4 different actresses throughout all the films, which is stupid, even if she was just a background extra in Chamber of Secrets where Catherine Nicholson stepped into her shoes. Then for the last 3 movies, Scarlett Byrne was called upon to play the role properly and seemingly captured all that hate and angst perfectly. But seriously, Make up your mind. Number 3. Jessica Hines as Mafalda Hopkirk. Jessica Hines couldn't even get her face onto a Harry Potter movie. Appearing as but a voice in Order of the Phoenix is Mafalda Hopkirk.
Patronus charm in the presence of a muggle.
Director David Yates made the decision to bring in Sophie Thompson instead when the character actually appeared on screen in the Deathly Hallows. I would assume Jessica Hines was just busy. Number 2. Richard Harris as Professor Dumbledore. Richard Harris made Professor Dumbledore his own, understanding what was required and just being a damn good actor to begin with. He shone in the first 2 Harry Potter movies. This is especially fascinating as he was never going to take on the role. He only did so after his granddaughter said she'd never talk to him again if he didn't. It's quite the threat. Sadly, Harris died 2 weeks before the Chamber of Secrets premiered, meaning there was no choice but to recast him. Michael Gambon stepped up and did a great job too. It was never the same. Number 1. Richard Bremmer as Voldemort. You've done it. You are the bad guy in Harry Potter, a role that will probably be as iconic as Darth Vader, the Joker, and even Loki. And then when all is said and done, the only performance you got to give was some weird growth on the back of a professor's head. By the time Voldemort had gotten his body back though, the decision to get Ralph Fiennes on board had been made, and as we all know, it was the right choice. It almost didn't happen, mind. Fiennes didn't like the first 2 Harry Potter films, but somehow he was convinced. And the rest is history. Know of any other Harry Potter actors that were switched around? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can even come follow me on Twitter at SimonMiller316. I'm Simon from Whatculture, and I'll chat to you again soon.